This is the last chapter I'm going to do one of these little short overviews for, because the other chapters left are all strictly statistical methods and methodology, and it's really kind of beyond the scope of what we want to accomplish here. We want this to make it as user-friendly as possible without getting too heavy into the math. So, but communicating the results is really key. When you present your project to the client or the study, the business, I want you to take as many items from this chapter as you possibly can and really develop a very professional, very polished document that showcases what the efforts you put in, the talents you've applied to this, and the findings that you've uncovered. And then so the presentations, you're going to turn in two things or three things. Probably be a PowerPoint or some presentation and your written report. I can't think of what the third is. Well, an analysis of your teammates. Well, that's going to be part of it. But you're going to do a formal presentation to them, likely on a Zoom session, which we'll get that arranged down the road here. But so let's take a peek. These are our objectives. Business report title, tips to get started. They've got some really good things in this chapter. I'm not going to go through absolutely every process of this, but the communication process is pretty good. The key to this, and I use this in marketing class, quite frankly, all the time, but number one, what do you want to say? What do you want them to know when they're done? What are the goals? And to whom are you speaking? Know your audience. So if you're going to give, for example, a presentation to a group about the 4 Ps in marketing or marketing research, you might talk about the same things, but in certainly different ways and depth if it's a group of middle schoolers versus a group of business executives. So in this case, you're talking to an owner of a business. So you want to make this, or the equivalent, you're going to want to make this very polished but actionable for him. He's not interested in your prowess as a statistician, but the efforts, the details of what you found and why you found it and how you found it. That's going to be key. So the messaging part about this, the written word, the data visualization is really key. So there you go. You're going to encode it to something that he can understand, or anybody can understand, frankly, but that's in business. He's not a statistician or a researcher by trade, I don't believe. So you got written and verbal report, and the oral report and the written report. Written report obviously is going to have way more details. And there's just a way to arrange it or to organize your information. So again, you don't have to follow this exactly like the letter of transmittal. We don't need that. But the rest of this, there's pretty good reason to make all of these available to him. Parts of the report, again, it lists these out pretty nicely. Summary, body, the whole thing. That summary or summation is really the key thing. This is the payoff. Here, after all the efforts, energy, and time and trouble you've taken, what should they understand? How can they use this to advance their business, make themselves more competitive, or address or to restore advantage, or to capitalize on competitive advantage? So the methodology, I don't think I need to go through every last one of these things, but parts of a table. Okay, you've got title and things. It's easy to get lost in this. So this is why when you look at this data, you got to study this pretty hard because it's all numbers. Some people are instinctive numbers people. Others need to have it more visualized. So color codes and things, visualizing data is an art. And there's tools out there, and if you got some ability in that sense, it can be very helpful. If you've ever worked on, say, a annual report for a company, you're going to want to have that data visualization ability, which is, you know it when you see it. And there's lots of them here. Graphics, charts, title, number. Can you see it? If you throw it up on a screen and the numbers are so small you can't see them, what good is it doing you? So you want to be pretty careful about this. Distortion. You got X and Y axis. You want it to start at 0. You don't want to overemphasize the distortion or the differences between certain bar graphs or histograms. They show you that here. Notice this one starts at 7.74. This one starts at 1. So that's why you've got less variability. This magnifies it. Do you want to be careful about that? This might be accurate, but is it as accurate as it seems given the amount of space you have? Because it's a pretty narrow slice. So you only got, 5/10 between this number and this number. Okay, so graphical aids, pie charts. Be careful on the colors you pick, and the numbers are big enough so you can see them. Using charts effectively, relationship between one variable to another. That's what we're doing. Time, money, those types of things. Simple graphs like this, got a historical, ratios and things like that. Again, notice they start at 0. Median age of motor vehicles. They choose median instead of average. Notice. Stratum charts. Again, this is why you have a group, a team. You can look these over, tasks, these things, simple bar charts. All these can be really helpful, but others might be like, let's uncover a nugget that we can use, a nugget of gold. Research, your oral presentation, you want to practice preparation, rehearsal, adapt to the audience, not lecturing or reading to the audience. You want to speak to it. That's one thing that I notice. You can tell groups that are really familiar with their subject matter because they don't need to read it. Now, you might be parts of it you want to read, like a heading or something like that, but by and large, you want to speak to it. So you can lead them in a conversational manner. And I think follow up, always leave contact information. That's a good idea. So this should be useful to you. This is a very important chapter in the final wrap up of the course. So take care.